Emergencies can occur at any place and at any time. Emergencies can happen as a result of traffic accidents, police actions, fires, marine incidents, aviation incidents, natural disasters, and so much more. First responders have to be always prepared to attend a myriad of emergency situations. Attendance at critical incidences causes first responders to have very high rates of exposure to traumatic events. This is especially true for firefighters, many of whom are volunteers. Training allows them to successfully complete their duties, but how do these events affect their mental state? Emotional stress is one of the most serious occupational hazards in the fire service.
At times it's very stressful on first responders. It's stressful at home. It just don't only stay here at the fire department. When you take your suit off, you just can't leave it here. You do go home, and it affects the families.
Traumatic events can create crisis-level stress in both men and women. It is known as critical incident stress, or post-traumatic stress, as it is often called. This video will discuss how to recognize critical incident stress and offer suggestions to minimize its impact. Critical incident stress is becoming increasingly evident in the first responder community. It can affect job performance, health, career decision-making, morale, and family life. This stress can result in emotional problems, as well as problems with alcohol and drugs.
I guess I first realized that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder in August of 2015. The big thing for me is I had an incident almost 4 years ago when my daughter was 9 months old, 8 months old. In fact, on my birthday, she had fallen off my bed head first, and in that moment, in the 30 seconds following that, I had thought she had broken her neck and died. Seeing her this way was probably the biggest trigger for me. Drinking became very excessive, drug use became excessive, which led me down a really awful path.
Critical incident stress is not only limited to first responders, it also affects others who have witnessed or experienced a traumatic event. In the mid-1980s, I was a radio operator for an offshore flight following service. My job was to maintain communication and the position of all aircraft traveling to and around the oil rigs. On the night of March 13th, 1986, I lost a flight that was under my control. Had 6 people on board. When I realized that the helicopter had crashed, I immediately activated the emergency procedures. My chest went tight, my mouth was dry, but I had to do my job until I was relieved. When I got home, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and I thought the feelings would never go away. People react differently, both psychologically and emotionally, to different events. Simply stated, crisis is a state of heightened emotional arousal, a state of emotional turmoil. Let's take a look at some of the events that may trigger or produce critical incident stress. These could be a line-of-duty workplace injury or death, a multi-casual disaster or event, events having known victims, relatives, or people within your community, events involving children, a suicide of someone you know, and so much more. Stress is a normal reaction experienced by most who witness or experience a traumatic incident. Normally, the stressful feelings will tend to diminish over a period of a few weeks. I talked about the crash with my doctor, my co-workers, and my friends, and after a few weeks the feelings that I had gradually disappeared. It was easier to cope. I'll never forget about what happened that night, but now it's easier to live with. So how does one recognize critical incident stress? A person suffering from this stress may have a sense of extreme fatigue, have vivid memories, flashbacks, or nightmares, avoid things that remind them of the event, feel emotionally numb at times, feel irritable and on the edge but don't know why, eat more than usual, use more drugs and alcohol, feel out of control of their moods, find it more difficult to get along with others, have to keep busy to cope, and feel depressed. Others may experience the fear of failure or of being perceived as weak and that they will be rejected by their co-workers. This may not be the case.
So we need to recognize that this is not a personal weakness. This is normal response to a difficult situation.
One of the fears that I had was, did I do anything wrong that caused the crash? I talked about this with my supervisors. They were very supportive. Once the investigation had been completed, I was told that I went above and beyond what was required of me. This certainly helped alleviate a lot of my pain.
Being affected by critical incident stress is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that, you know what, we're real human beings. We have families at home. We're moms, we're dads, we're brothers, we're sisters, we're sons, and we're daughters. We're not machines.
The impact of critical incident stress on a person's life and their family is immeasurable. It also affects their role as a first responder. Every trained responder taken out of service costs the community in dollars and the loss of experience and knowledge.
In the mid-70s, my late husband was a volunteer firefighter in our community. One night he attended a fire with severe loss of life. When he came home, he had changed completely. He was afraid to go to sleep, he wouldn't spend time with the children, and he became distant from me. Most importantly for us as a family, he couldn't do his job as a teacher. I knew he needed help.
If after a few weeks one finds that the feelings are not diminishing, they may need to seek professional help.
So once you see yourself behaving a little differently, not being able to think clearly, there's lots of those kinds of reactions that you need to look for. Then you recognize that you're going to need to talk to somebody and get some help.
My last shift, I had 4 deaths during that shift. And following the end of the 24 hours, I decided that I need a break from this for a while. This basically led me on to needing treatment, rehab, which I did then proceed to go on to 2 months later to Toronto for 8 weeks of rehab.
Don't try to numb your pain with alcohol or drugs. Do things that are good for you. Spend time with others and keep life as normal as possible. You are not alone. Realize that there are others who are also experiencing stress. Healthy responses to critical incident stress could include keeping a journal, spending time with family and friends, exercising, helping others, sharing your feelings, eating well-balanced meals, and by not making any big life changes. Critical incident stress management, often referred to as emotional and psychological first aid, has been developed to assist recovery from stress.
Well, the department has been right by my side every step of the way here, right from my brothers and sisters in suppression, right on up to the chief and deputy chief. Has been nothing but instrumental in my recovery.
While most of us are resilient and recover quickly, recovery is accelerated when we are assisted by group or individual interventions. Speed of recovery is very much a personal matter, depending on your exposure and the level of impact.
Today I'm doing great. I couldn't be happier. Me and my wife have reconciled. We're doing the best we've ever done. I'm the best father I've ever been, and I'm looking forward to get back to working side by side with my brothers and sisters in the fire department and being the best firefighter that I can be.
My husband spoke with our doctor, who suggested that he talk out his feelings with others who attended the fire and who possibly had similar feelings. He did this, and over time he began feeling better, and gradually he got his life back. I can't tell you how important it was for him to reach out and to get the help that he needed.
The most valuable resource we have in our fire halls are our people. And we have to make sure that we do everything that we need to do to look after them.
You will get better. Just give it time.
If you've been to an incident and you think that something has been affecting you and you've seen a difference, please seek out the help that you may possibly need.